Risk management sounds complicated, but the truth is, every IT project, every cyber team, every business decision runs on just 5 simple steps. And once you understand these steps, you will be able to predict the threats before they hit, protect your system smarter, and make decisions with confidence. In today's video, we are breaking down the 5-step risk management process in the simplest and most practical way possible. No jargons, just clear strategies you can start using right away. So let's get started.
So basically, we have started from the risk management profile. And as you remember, a person who is working into the risk management, their job is to basically look into the risk, identifying this risk, and then resolving those. Okay. That is the job profile of a person who is working into risk management. That is identifying the risk and then working on resolutions on how they can resolve it. Okay. Now, if you see here, these are the 5 steps of a risk management process. So, no matter what profile no matter what project you're working on, if you're working as a risk management person, this is the 5 step that you will have to follow. Okay. So, what happens is, see, um, of course, risks are endless. Okay. It cannot happen that you join any company and they randomly say you that now go and identify risk. That is something which is not possible, right? Because there are so many risks. So a project will be assigned to you specifically. And for that project, you will have to identify the risk. Example, let's say they assign to you that this you have to identify a risk related to any asset. Asset means the laptop or the desktop. Then your job is to identify a risk related to that. So these are the 5 steps of a risk management process. The first step is identifying risk. So the first thing that you have to do is identifying what all risks are there. Okay. Second is analyzing the risk. Analyzing the risk basically works on the funda probability multiply by impact. Okay, probability means what is the chances of that risk actually happening? Because when we say risk happening, it is something which is not existing. It is something which may happen. So there should be certain kind of probability when I'm saying that yes, what are the chances of that risk happening? That is what probability is. Multiply by impact. Impact basically means what? If in case that risk actually happen, what is the consequences company will suffer? That is what impact is. Okay. So basically, probability or impact, we say it is high, medium, or low. So when we say it is high, medium, or low, that time just for the ease of calculation, we assign numbers to this high, medium, or low. Okay. So I'll say if it is high, I'm giving that rating as 5. Is medium, 3. And if low, I'm giving rating as 1. Next thing is evaluating the risk. Evaluating the risk basically means herein what your job is. Herein, see, when we identify the risk, it is not just one risk or two risk. It could be a number of risk, right? So in evaluating the risk, your job is to basically give priority level to risk. By that, what I meant is, let's say you have assigned 5 risks. So now working on those 5 risks after one day is not possible for everyone, right? That takes time. But that what I meant is, see, let's say that you guys are not being well. So I identify the risk that it could be an issue that you face a disease tomorrow. So what I say to you, I give you a recommendation that, hey guys, do one thing, wake up at 5 o'clock, do meditation, do yoga, get 20 minutes of sunlight exposure, have a healthy breakfast. So I'm giving all these recommendation. So now for me, giving this recommendation is very easy. It just take 2 minutes for me giving recommendation. But the actual implementation of those productive routine that I'm saying, that is something which you will have to do, right? And that takes time. Okay, it is not something which could be done in just I just say to you today and from tomorrow every one of you start waking up at 5 o'clock, having a yoga, then meditation, and then having a healthy breakfast. It is not possible overnight you will change, right? Similarly, for companies as well, as a risk management professional, when I'm giving any sort of recommendation that how they could resolve that risk, okay, it is very easy. The difficult part comes when they have to implement that risk. And of course, that is not something which could be done overnight. That is why we always give priority ratings to the risk. So we say out of 5 risks, I will say that, treat or work on risk number 1 as priority 1. Then work on risk number 5 as priority 2. So I'm just basically giving ranking to these risks, okay, for the priority, because company cannot work on all the risk overnight. They will need time to think upon that whether they will actually be able to implement those or not, and all those things, right? That is why we give risk ratings, and which is done by this calculation, probability multiplied by impact. So when I'm calculating this, of course there is coming some kind of value, right? Basis that this risk is done. Next is treating the risk. So in treating the risk, basically we are going to give recommendations on how they can resolve those risks, okay, or how those risks could be addressed. So this treating the risk basically works on a formula, that is 4 mitigation strategies, which is risk avoidance, risk transfer, risk reduction, and risk acceptance. Basis that we actually work on resolving those risks. What are this? How it is done? I'm gonna explain you today. Okay. And the last step is monitoring and reviewing the risk. So basically, in this, whatever risk that has been identified, and we have give recommendation, so as a risk management profession, I'll just go back and check whether those risk has been addressed or not. Okay, whether those risk has been worked upon or not. That is what monitoring and reviewing the risk is. Basically, like for example, when you go to a doctor and he give you a prescription to follow, after that you come back to doctor for follow up checkup, right? So therein doctor is just checking that whether that issue has been resolved or not, right? Same way here as well, we are just checking whether the risk that we have identified that has been addressed or not. Okay. Now let me just take an example to explain this. Okay. Let's say Abby is working in Amazon. Okay, as a risk management professional. Now, Abby has been assigned a project that, hey, Abby, please identify the risk related to laptops that we are providing to the employees. So this project has been identified to Abby, that identify risk related to the laptops. Okay, so this is what, these are the 5 steps which Abby will have to follow. Okay, so first step is identify the risk. So he will have to brainstorm and think what all possible risk could be there. Okay. Now guys, one thing that you have to remember when you're working into risk management profile, herein our primary focus is on information security, means data security. Okay. So the first risk that Abby has identified, okay, fine. Many times it happens that after office hours as well, employees do take laptop to their home. Right? That is something which happens. Now Abby is thinking, what if that laptops get lost? By that what I meant is, let's say that I am taking laptop to my home. Midway, I stop in a grocery store to buy some grocery, and by mistake, I forgot the laptop there itself in the checkout counter or somewhere else. So I forgot that. Now the laptop is lost. Or there could be scenarios that when I'm reaching home, I stop on a cafe to to have a coffee. Okay, I called one of my friend as well, and I went to washroom. That time when I came back, I saw my laptop was not there. So someone has stolen the laptop. So these are some situations which could happen, right? And if in case that laptop or the is stolen and it goes to the wrong hand, it could do a lot of damage, right? Because in that laptop, there's a lot of confidential details about the company documents. And if it goes to wrong hand, it could create a very big issue, right? So that is the first risk which we have identified. Laptop is lost, or I could say it is stolen. Okay, that is the first risk which we have identified. Now, the second risk. Now, see, in office we have free Wi-Fi, right? So it is very easy to download movies from the office. Now, when we are downloading movies from office, from websites such as uTorrent and all, sometimes whenever office provides us laptop, they ensure that the laptop has antivirus installed in that. Correct. Now what happens is there's a possibility that whenever we are downloading any movies or any series from any links, sometimes because of that antivirus, it does not allow us to download movies from that particular link, right? So when such situation happen, as an employee, what we do is we go to our settings and we disable the antivirus. Okay, so that we are able to download the series and movies. And once we have downloaded the series and movies, I could go back to my setting and enable the antivirus again. So by this, what I feel is there is no harm which could be done to the organization. Correct. Now, when the employee do that, there is a possibility that unintentionally they forgot to enable the antivirus pack. Right? For example, let's say you're downloading one movie. Suddenly you got a call from your wife or husband saying that, hey, do one thing, download these 3 4 movies as well. So we are good for the next 3 4 weekends. You said, okay, fine. And then you started downloading all those 3 4 movies. After that, it was a lunch break. You went and then you came back. Your boss gave you some urgent work. So you started working on that. And because of this distraction, you forgot to disable the antivirus pack. Now, this is a huge risk. Why? Just imagine if in case there is some kind of what you say phishing attack, as in someone is trying to send you any spam email which is having some kind of virus, and you actually open that email or you click on that any link. In that case, the virus will enter your system, right? And that could damage or could corrupt your company's confidential data, right? So that is a big issue. So you have identified that as risk number 2. Antivirus is disabled. Analyzing the risk, we know that works on the funda probability multiplied by impact. Right? That is the formula that we are using. Now we have given certain ratings. We are saying if it is high, we have given that rating as 5. For medium, we are giving rating as 3. And for low, we are giving rating as 1. So these are the ratings that we have given. Now, if I talk about risk number 1, laptop is lost or stolen. Now, what is the probability of this risk actually happening? See, okay, whenever we talk about probability, it is not a set formula. You have to just brainstorm on that or just think upon that. Okay, so I'll give you an idea how you can do that. So when you're identifying probability of laptop being lost or stolen. Just think, okay, fine. In my career of 1 year or 2 year, how many it is? How many times have you come across this news that your colleague laptop is lost or stolen? That is how you could, identify the probability of chances of something happening. So I know, like I can say in my 10 years of career, I have heard it very few times, was just once or twice, nothing more than that. Right. See, the chances are not very high, right? Once in a 4 years or once in 5 years, the chances are not high. So I will not take the probability as high. Okay. I will not take that as low as well, because yes, we have heard about it. It is not like it is very, 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 very less. No, you have heard about it. So to be on safe side, I will choose the probability as medium. That yes, chances are there. Then comes the I, which is impact. Impact basically means if in case the risk which I'm saying it actually happens, what is the consequences or what is the impact company will suffer. That is what impact or consequences mean. Now see, whenever the laptop get lost or stolen, it is not always necessary. Now again, I'm just brainstorming in this. When the laptop gets lost or stolen, it is not always necessary that it will go to a hacker. Right? It is not always necessary, because when our laptop is lost or stolen, still to open the laptop, the person has to type the password. Then only laptop will open. Right? And then only he will have access to the confidential data. Other than that, there are chances that he will be able to guess the password, get access to the confidential data which is there in the laptop, and then maybe sell that confidential documents to dark web or anyone else. So the chances are very less. It is not always that happen. The more chances are, if a person gets your laptop, they will basically sell it for money. So that chances are much more that the person sell it for money than your laptop. They are not interested in the confidential documents. Not everyone think in that way, right? Not everyone is hacker. If you left your laptop in your, let's say, in a cafe, and the person who is the cleaning staff, he saw that, he will just take it and sell it for money, right? So the chances of a hacker getting it is very less. So I will not say the impact will be high. Why? If someone has sell it just for the money purpose, it is not very much issue, right? They have just what you taken out the data and just sell it. So the chances of a hacker getting is not there. If hacker is not getting it, the impact is not very high. Impact is high when it goes to a wrong hand, who is a hacker, who will sold those data on the dark web, right? In that case, consequences will be high. But in this case, it is not something which will always happen. Not every cafe or every grocery store has hacker roaming around, right? So I will say the impact is not high. Neither I could say the impact is very less, because what if it is a hacker? Chances are there. So I'm just saying, taking 50-50 chances, and I'm writing impact as medium, just to be on safer side. So I know we have assigned value of medium as 3. So 3 multiplied by 3 becomes 9. Now, if I go to risk number 2, that is antivirus could be disabled. Now, what is the probability that employee do that? Probability is of course high. Any chance, see, as an employee, whenever we are getting any free stuff from the company, we never lose the chance, right? That is something which is of course there. And it is a human thing. Every person does that. Even I have done it so many times. So as an employee, if you are getting any free stuff from the office, we never leave it. So if I'm able to download movies, I will of course use it. Of course, I will not think from the perspective to harm the organization, but I will think, let me just disable the antivirus till the time I'm able to download the movies. After that, I will enable it again. So the chances are high that employee do that. So the probability, I will take it as high. Then impact. Now, if in case by mistake you forgot to actually put this enable the antivirus again, it could be a very huge risk, right?
Yeah.
Because in that case, you will be what do you say, if in case any kind of virus comes, your system will not have anything in place to protect those,
Yeah.
which could be a very big issue, right? The consequences will be very high.
Yeah.
So I've written this as high, and the rating which I selected is for high is 5. So 5 multiplied by 5 becomes 25.
25.
Okay. So these are the risk ratings. So for risk number 2, the rating is 25. And for risk number 1, the rating is 9. Okay. When we come to step number 3, that is evaluating the risk, herein I told you that we are giving priority levels to the risk, right? That is, out of the risk identified, which risk to first work on. Okay. Why? Because for me, as a risk management professional, giving recommendation is just a task. But to implement that is a huge thing, right? To implement something is a big thing. So company will take time to think over it. Okay, fine. This is a recommendation that Pali is giving us. Is this feasible recommendation? Can we opt it? Or if we can opt it, they will have to discuss with their senior management that can they do that. And we know senior management are not something that we send them an email today and they will immediately respond tomorrow. They take their own sweet time, right? So addressing the risk takes a big time, amount of time. That is why this evaluating risk comes, wherein we basically give priority level to this risk. And how we do that? Depending upon the rating which we have received in step number 2. Now, if you see here, risk number 1 has got the rating of 9, and risk number 2 has got the rating of 25. So, of course, 25 is a higher value than 9, right? So, in this case, I will say to my company that give priority 1 to risk number 2. Why? Because the risk rating is higher. And then I'll say and give priority 2 to risk number 1. Why? Because their value is less, that is 9. So now by this, when I'm doing this, the company will first focus on addressing risk number 2, that is antivirus getting disabled. They will first use their time, energy to think on this one first. Now, the next is treating the risk. This is step number 4. In this step, basically, we are giving recommendations to the company. Okay. And how we are giving recommendation to the company, guys, that is depending on the 4 fundas that we use. That is risk mitigation strategy. Okay. Now, for risk number 1, that is laptop is getting lost or stolen. The recommendation I could give is that do not allow employees taking laptop home. That is the recommendation that I have given. If employees do not take the laptop home, the issue does not come of, getting a laptop getting lost or stolen, right? So that issue will not come only if I give this recommendation. But I also say that, see, in an organization, whenever we are implementing any rules, there has to be certain exceptions. By that, what I meant is, let's say one person says that, hey Dipali, we cannot follow that because we are from the marketing team and we often have meeting very late at night from Australia team or let's say Canada team, because time zone is different from US and Canada, right? So we have a late meeting. So we will have to take the laptop home because the meeting will be at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you could not expect us to come at 4 o'clock in the morning in office, right? So in this case, I could say that do not allow the laptop for employees to take home. And if in case any employee is taking home, they need to take a special approval from their seniors. Okay. By this, what will happen is, see, if anyone is taking approval to take the laptop home, they will be cautious. that, oh God, I have to make sure that laptop is not lost or stolen. Right? They will not take it for granted. So by this, the chances of laptop being lost or stolen could be reduced. Then for risk number two, which we have identified, is that antivirus disabled. I have given the recommendation that the configuration setting by which employees are able to do that, that configuration setting should be disabled. Okay, by the IT team from the back end. But that what I meant is no employees will be able to disable the antivirus on their laptop. They won't be able to do that. They will need a admin permission only, then only they will able to do that. By this, in this case, of course, no one will reach out to admin saying that, I have to download some movie, please allow me to disable the antivirus, right? That will not happen. No one will go to the admin team for that. And if in case you go also, they will ask you, okay, fine, tell me which website you're trying to access by which you're not able to get, it is not getting downloaded. Tell me that. So that time you cannot tell them that it is a movie or series, right? Unless it is related to official work, you will not go to the admin team, right? So in this case, the chances of antivirus getting disabled is removed. So that issue will not happen. So these are the recommendations that we are given as a risk management professional. Now, if you see here, for me, just saying that do not allow the laptop is very easy, right? But for company, implementing this is make time. They have to think about, okay, fine, is it feasible or not? As I told you, they were having discussion, and then marketing team said that no, we have meeting at 4 o'clock, it becomes difficult for us, right? So there's a lot of discussion which happens. After that only companies are able to implement any recommendation that we are giving as a risk management professional. That is why we have this step called evaluating the risk, wherein we are assigning the values, that is priority 1 and priority 2, so that the company could first focus on priority 1 risk. Once that is resolved, once that is done, then they will work on the second risk, means priority number 2 risk, like that. Okay, that is why this step comes. So it becomes easy for the organizations. Then the last step is monitoring and reviewing the risk. Herein, you will basically check after a certain amount of time. Not like you have given recommendations today and next morning you're gonna check whether they have resolved or not. No, you will give them an ample amount of time. Okay, so that frequency is decided by the company, that whether you are looking back after 1 month or 2 months, that frequency depends from company to company. Like in my current organization, after every month, end of the month, I'll go back and check that the risk that I have been identified, that has been addressed or not, so that I could close it, that yes, this is done. Okay, so the last step is monitoring and reviewing the risk. Herein, you are basically going back and checking that these risks that you have identified, that is laptop getting stolen or antivirus disabled, these risk has been addressed or not. You are just checking that. That is what last step is.